So, what would you say your relationship with your parents is like? And specifically, like with your mom? Because I feel like for a lot of Desi families, usually the mom, the matriarch, is a very influential power when it comes to getting married. Or her opinion holds, a lot.
Yeah, I think my relationship with my mom is like obviously, I respect her, I love her, anything that she says, I hold a lot of weight to it. Um, but like, obviously, I think, the first time I may have told her that statement, she was probably freaked out or whatever. But I think my mom is a very open-minded, open-hearted person. Um, she's like deeply into our religion. I think she like really understands the idea of like racism is bad, and I think a lot of Desi parents don't have that. And I think the further anyone goes into Islam, into our deen, you become more like how my mom has become, where she's a lot more open-minded, open-hearted, and yeah. So I just think she's just like she. I would say like I got very lucky. Obviously, it wasn't that hard for me. So like I talk a big game, but my mom was just like really amazing.
Yeah, your mom is amazing. And like I really respect that because I think a big fear that people have about getting married to people outside of their culture, a big fear that the parents have is, well, what about our culture? They won't understand it and all this stuff. And your mom's a very culturally Pakistani woman. She really loves her culture. It's very obvious, and she loves her language. That's very obvious. But yeah, like she can separate the two things very well. And I'll say like I also, have a similar situation, especially with my father. So my father is very, very, invested in religion and stuff. And he, as I grew up, he kind of got more and more religious. And sometimes that would be really tough growing up because, I grew up with a very strict
I mean, you're a
dad.
kid. You want when you're a kid,
You
you
want
want
freedom. Yeah, but
rebellion.
as I
Yeah.
got older, I started appreciating it because with the increase in religiosity, there was like more of an understanding about like true Islamic principles. And one of those things was about getting married. And so one of the things he told me at like, probably when I was around that same age or around 18 is, I don't care like, what language he speaks, where he's from or whatever. It's as long as, he prays. That was his thing. It's like as long as he's Muslim and he prays and he's practicing, that's all I care about. So that was pretty cool to hear. I still didn't think I was going to get married to someone outside of my culture, but I think that was that was good to hear from my father that like, you can be like it's almost like having religious parents made it easier for both of us because they were able to separate those two things a lot better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think so too. And yeah, your dad is also like, very like he's a very open-minded, open-hearted person. Like he, took in his son-in-law, like he became friends with him. I remember I told him he heard I do stand-up comedy, and I remember I was with him one time and he like turned, he was like, "Oh, you do stand-up comedy? I heard you do stand-up comedy." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he like paused and then he said, "You're not very funny."
Yeah, he was really surprised because Adil, if you meet him, you'll he's a shy guy. I'm not
I'm not
shy.
shy.
You're quiet. You're
I'm quiet. I'm
Yeah.
quiet, especially around elders. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I should talk if there's an elder around because
Yeah.
they have a lot more wisdom than I do. So
Yeah.
what do I have to say that's like important,
Yeah, but I think people have this view of comedians as like, loudest voice in the room, the person who gets the party going, and so my dad was really shocked to hear that's what
Yeah,
you
I
do.
think I have like I'm a lot more like was it like with a loose tongue with my very close friends that are my peers. Like I'll say outlandish things, but when I'm with an elder, especially like your father, I'm not gonna say outlandish things.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be just
Yeah.
quiet and listen because there's so much wisdom there. So